Hey guys, it's Miss Lassiter. I'm going to talk to you today about fractions and bar models and multiplication and how the pictures can be represented. I would suggest listening to the explanation of the problem and then pausing the video and then taking some notes, detailed notes of how I did the problem. So I first read the problem in detail, and it says Maurice has 3/4 quart of chicken stock. He uses 2/3 of it to make some soup. The questions are, how much chicken stock does he use to make the soup, and how much chicken stock does he have left? So then I make a bar model to represent this problem. And my bar is going to represent 1 whole quart. So I'm going to write 1, and QT is the abbreviation for quart. And he has 3/4 of a quart. So would I split my bar into 4 regions, and I'm going to stripe 3 of them. So at this point, if someone said, does he have a full quart? You could say no, he is 1/4 of a quart short. And then it says, so if I look at the next part, so I'm going to put these little stripes to know that that represents what Maurice has to begin with. He then uses 2/3 of it to make some soup. So 2/3 of what he has. Well, I see that there are 3 regions with stripes. So 2 of the 3 need stars, so I don't need to split it again. So I'm going to put a star in there. And it says, oh, how much chicken stock does he use to make the soup? So that would be how many regions of all of the regions are starred and striped. So that would be 2 of 4, which is equal to 1/2. Now, what I want you to think about also is that they have asked you to find 2/3 of 3/4. And I could multiply that out, and I would get 6/12, which reduces to 1/2. Down below, I'm going to look at that problem again. I could have 2/3 times 3/4. And you can look for common factors in numerator, denominator. I have a 3 on the top and the bottom, so those could both be divided by 3 and make them into 1. The 2 and the 4 both have a factor of 2, so I could divide them both by 2, and I get 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top. And then I have 1 times 1 over 1 times 2, which equals 1/2, which is what the answer is to the problem. The second question says, how much chicken stock does he have left? So that would be the region that's only striped with no star. And just by looking at it, I can see there's 1 of 4. This second problem is pretty similar to the first. Again, I read the problem. It says Michelle has 4/5 gallon of paint. She uses 3/4 of it to paint a door. How much paint does she use? How much paint is left? So again, I draw a model, and I make my bar kind of long, and this whole bar is going to represent 1 gallon. And I'm going to split into 5 sections, and she doesn't have a full gallon. She has 4/5 of a gallon. So again, I'm going to put the little stripes next to Michelle to show you that that's what Michelle has. It then says she uses 3/4 of it to paint a door. So 3/4 of what she has, well, she has 4 sections, so I can star 3 of the 4, and I don't have to split it again. So I go 1, 2, 3. So the region that says what paint she used would be the region that is starred and striped. So we would see that it would be 3 out of 5. The multiplication problem that's represented here would be 3/4 of 4/5, which equals 12/20, which reduces to 3/5. Down below, I want to also look at that problem. We have 3/4 times 4/5. And again, you see the 4 on the top and the bottom, so I can divide them both by 4, and I get 1. And then I see I just have the answer of 3 times 1 over 1 times 5, which is 3/5. The second question says how much paint is left. So that would be the region that is only striped. And so I want to make sure that you know that you can answer that question without really having to do anything. And also take note on your answers to these problems. You should have the units, gallons and gallon. This next problem is a little more challenging. I'm going to read it carefully. It says, Len received some money for a vacation job. He saved 1/4 of the money, spent 4/9 of the remainder on a DVD, and spent the rest on a t-shirt. What fraction of the money was spent on the DVD? What fraction of the money was spent on the t-shirt? So this picture is going to be really important that I know what everything is representing. So I'm going to make a big rectangle, and this is, I'm going to split it into 4 sections, looking at that first fraction, 1/4. And 1/4 of the money he saved, so I'm going to write saved right here. And so that shows that 1/4 is saved, so the rest is what he spent. Now, the interesting thing is there are 3 sections left over, and those 3 sections, they want to know 4/9 of those. So I could split each column into 9 little sections, but I want to be clever, and I want to say, oh, how could I make those 3 sections into a multiple of 9? So if I split them each into 3, I would be set. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and now I have 9 little sections that aren't in the saved category and 3 sections in the saved category. So he spent 4/9 of it on a DVD. So I'm going to write DVD, 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 DVD. And then he spent the rest on t-shirts. So I'm going to put T, 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 T. So now just looking at my picture, it says what fraction of the money was spent on the DVD. So I can see it's of all of the money. It would be 4/12, which equals 1/3. But basically, it's really important that you understand kind of the complement of something. If you saved 1/4 of the money, that means you spent 3/4 of it. And so he spent 4/9 of 3/4. So that's the multiplication problem. If I multiply that out, I get 12/36, which equals 1/3. Again, down below, I want to look at that problem, the 4/9 times 3/4. So if I look at the 3 and the 9, they're both divisible by 3. So I make this a 1 and this a 3. The 4 and the 4 are both divisible by 4, so I make them 1s, and I end up getting 1/3, which is what we got by looking at my picture. It's also what we got when we multiplied out, then simplified. The second question says, what fraction of the money was spent on the t-shirt? So if 4/9 was spent on the DVD, 5/9 was spent of the remainder. So the remaining money was of the money that he spent was 3/4. So I end up getting 15/36, which reduces to 5/12. And the cool thing is if I look on my thing, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the whole 12, but this is the multiplication. So technically you don't need to do the multiplication if you have the picture drawn, but it shows you how the multiplication reflects the problem. So this is the last problem we're going to look at today. It says Janice picks some strawberries. She uses 3/5 of them to make jam. She gives 3/4 of the remainder to her neighbor. What fractions of the strawberry does she give to her neighbor? What fraction of the strawberries does she have left? So I am going to start with my bar, and I'm going to make, I think it's easier to make a big bar so I have room to write things. She uses 3/5 to make jam. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so she uses 3/5 of them to make jam. So I'm going to write jam jam, jam. She gives 3/4 of the remainder to her. So this is the remainder. And I want you to think of the remainder as what's left over, and it's 2/5, because 3/5 was used to make jam, 2/5 is what adds up to a whole. And she gives 3/4 of the remainder. But there are only 2 sections here, and I just split them into 4. So I can be clever, and I'm going to split these 2, so they're now 4 sections, and I'm going to continue the line all the way to begin with. And she gives 3/4 of them to a neighbor, so I'm going to use the letter N to represent the neighbor. So these are the ones the neighbor gets, because she gets 3 of the 4. Now if I say, this is what fractions of the strawberry does she give to her neighbor, that means of all the strawberries. So looking at my picture, I can see there are 10 equal sections now, and 3 of the 10 are for the neighbor. Now what multiplication problem would this be? Well, it's of the remainder, so it's of 2/5, and she gives 3/4 of 2/5. Now, I'm going to just multiply that. I get 6/20, which reduces to 3/10. Again, down below, I want you to look at this 3/4 times 2/5 and see if you can see any canceling. I see there's a factor of 2 in both the numerator and denominator. So I'm going to divide both of those numbers by 2. I get 1 and 2. So I have 3 times 1 over 2 times 5, which equals 3/10, which is what I got above. Now what fractions of the strawberries does she have left? And I see that is 1/10. But what multiplication problem would that be? Well, if she gives 3/4 to her neighbor, that means she kept 1/4 of the one she didn't use to make jam, so 1/4 of 2/5, which is 2/20, which is 1/10, and that is the exact same answer I just got looking at the bar model. So the multiplication coincides with the bar model, and at this point in the game, it's good to draw a bar model to correspond. Thank you.